and welcome to the video. This video I've been wanting to release ever since I started this little journey 7 months ago to build my physique to what it is today. So I'm so happy to be able to release this and show you how far I've come. So first things first, if you are new to the channel and you haven't subscribed, please go and subscribe. I release content to help young guys to build their physique into the aesthetic pleasure that they want. So hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so already. So the reason I've been so excited to release this video is I wanted to show you what you can realistically achieve naturally if you put your mind to it. It can be really difficult to understand what is possible when you see loads of influencers and YouTubers that are taking PEDs or steroids to get to a certain point, which by the way, I am not against any of the use of that, as long as people know the consequences that they're getting into and that they aren't hurting anybody. Then I think go ahead and do what you want, and you know, I've got no problems with that. I just would rather people didn't lie about it, or at the very least at least don't pretend that they are not taking it. But anyway, another reason why I really wanted to share this video is because you can go online and you can find research and figures that will show you what is possible if you do everything perfectly. It's always done in labs and it's always in controlled case studies. So yes, you could possibly achieve X if you were to do everything exactly as they would recommend, but life gets in the way. We know that. You skip meals, you miss a training session, you maybe cheat on your diet, and that's normal. You know, we're human, these things happen. So I wanted to show you what I have achieved with those things in mind, because I have tried to live as normal a life, and I have lived as normal a life as possible. I haven't completely, you know, given up on my social life, or, you know, I've still got a full-time job, all these sorts of things that will make it much harder in order to build your physique. There's no hiding from that fact. So I wanted to give you a realistic view on what you can do if you actually put your mind to it and dedicate yourself a sensible amount. So I've got everything written down here, and I'm just going to go through the facts and the figures of where I was and where I've got to, and I'm going to play with some footage just as sort of proof of the journey so far. So I first started the journey back on the 29th of September 2019, and I was roughly 10% body fat, so I still was going to the gym, and I, you know, had what I would call a good physique, and I weighed 81.5 kilograms. What I then decided to do was I was going to go on a bulk for roughly 4 months, and therefore in January the 3rd 2020 my final bulking weight was 88.2 kilograms, and I was roughly 15% body fat. So for me, the bulking stage is dead easy because you can just say yes to everything. You don't have to worry about what sort of meal you're going to have or preparing the meal, because you can buy whatever it is and just, you know, consume loads of calories. Now you do have to bear in mind that you don't want to go too overboard on your calories, but you can say yes to so many more things and it's not restrictive whatsoever. So the bulk for me, I know some people as hard gainers will struggle, but for me, I have no problems eating plenty of food and plenty of calories. So those 4 months were dead easy, no problem whatsoever, and I piled on the weight quickly, and I was happy with the end result. Now it's from this point onwards, when I go into my cutting diet, that things start to get difficult and life starts to impact your training and your nutrition, and it just makes things that much harder. So the cutting diet started when my bulk ended on the 3rd of January, and the plan was going to be that I would be losing that 5% body fat that I had gained to get myself back down to 10%, and then it would be a fair result to see how much muscle I had gained from when I started the original journey on the 29th of September 2019 to the end of the cut. So as I said, this is where it gets interesting, and this is where it gets a lot harder, because you have to start saying no to things, and also your energy levels, because you're in low calories, are much lower, which means training's harder, your enthusiasm goes, you've got a much shorter fuse. So this is the point, for me anyway, where it does become difficult, and you have to start considering some sacrifices in order to build the physique that you want. You have to know that you need to be a few steps ahead. So as before, where you wanted to go out for a drink or a meal with your friends, you could do that and have, you know, not worry about the calories because you're in a bulking phase and you can have as many calories as you want to a point. But when you're in a diet, you need to make sure that you're sensible about the calories that you have. So I'm not saying that I had to not go out with my friends or not go out for meals and have a drink and that sort of thing, but I did have to be smarter in terms of preparing food and understanding that I may need to borrow some calories from one day to another to make sure that I wasn't going completely overboard and I was still staying on track as best as I could. So there was two major things as well that happened which made things a little bit tougher, but again more realistic for what can be achieved. And one is that I went on holiday, I had a nice trip to Vegas, and my mindset was that I was gonna just completely forget about my diet and everything while I was away, because at the end of the day I will be looking back and be grateful of good time spent with good people as opposed to having abs. So I just made sure that I just enjoyed the holiday, and I would recommend that if you are in the same situation that you do the same. The other thing that happened was I started a new job, and that required me to be focused on that for you know, initially anyway, to have a lot more focus on the role. As you know, as you get your feet under the table, you can, you know, focus isn't required quite so much. But that did happen, and therefore, you know, more of a realistic approach to life and what you can achieve, but you're going to have some sort of sacrifice. So anyway, what happened was on the 11th of April 2020, I finished my diet and my journey. I was back down to about 10% body fat, and my final weight was 83, got it written down here, 83.9 kilograms. So what that tells us is that over the 7 months from when I started to going into my bulking phase and through my cutting phase, I put on 2.4 kilograms of muscle. So that works out to be 5.3 pounds and 0.4 or 0.4 of a stone. So as you can see from the images, I do think there is quite a big difference when you're looking at the starting physique, especially from the bulking at the end of the bulk to the end of the cutting phase. There is a big difference. Although it isn't showing a huge difference on the scales, I think in the mirror you see the biggest difference. So it just puts into perspective that the scales are there to help you to know that you're on track and your diet is correct and all that sort of thing, but really it's the mirror that you're trying to change, if that makes sense. So taking all things into account, do I think I could have done any more? Not really. You know, I sacrificed as much as I was prepared to, and I didn't want to completely give up my entire life for the result of building muscle. I wanted to have a good balance, so therefore I don't think there's any more that I could have done. I do think this is the maximum amount that I could have achieved given the level of sacrifice that I was prepared to make. So what have I learned? I've learned that it takes me about 3 to 4 months to burn off 5% of my body fat, and I've learned that over 7 months or so I can build 2.4 kilograms of muscle. But I'm not saying I'm at my natural limit at all, but there will be a natural limit. So taking those figures into account, going through this cycle again, will the figures be different? Yeah, they probably will. I probably won't be able to put on quite so much muscle, and it's going to be that much harder. Just the more, so we say, advanced you get, the harder it is to make improvements. When you're brand new to the gym, you can make big steps and it's much easier. But as you get further in and your physique gets bigger and you etc, it just becomes that little bit harder, and still in an extra percent here or there just becomes that much more difficult. But it gives me a good idea as to what is possible if I really put my mind to it. So I have a few things in my mind of what is in store next. I haven't completely decided on what I'm going to do next, but if you do want to come along that journey and see what it is that I'm going to do, then please hit the subscribe button. I can assure you it is 100% free. It is just your way of supporting me and supporting the channel, so I'd appreciate it if you did just click that subscribe button and give the video a thumbs up. So before I end this video, I just want to say a massive thank you to London Muscle, because their knowledge and their tips and their cutting guide has really helped me through this. If you want to go and check them out, they've got some cool gym gear, they've got supplements, they've got some guides to help you to put on muscle and also to burn through that fat. So if you want to go and check them out, link is down below in the description, and also there is a discount code there which I'll put on the screen now, and again also in the description. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it, and hopefully you will subscribe and give it a like, and I will see you in the next one.